Thanks to such hits as Deadpool and Free Guy, Ryan Reynolds has garnered a reputation as one of Hollywood's most famous funny men, and yet, his life story has seen its fair share of tragedy. Ryan Reynolds has often spoke and written about his relationship with his father James, who died in 2015. James was a Royal Canadian Mounted Police officer, and in an essay Reynolds wrote for Time in 2014, he described his father as the toughest man alive and a full-time landmine. Life in Reynolds' home was apparently fraught with anxiety over his father's expectations for his 4 sons. As Reynolds wrote, he worked tirelessly to provide for his family, and in return, you were expected to do what he said, often before he said it. Tough. Emotionally unavailable parents can feel like insurmountable obstacles in their children's lives, and Reynolds' father was no exception. In 2016, he told GQ, "I always wanted a father who would put me on his lap and just dispense incredible life advice and guidance. From my earliest memory of him, my father was that stereotypical tough guy, but it was just a veneer. The hardest part for me is that he was always kind of a mystery." Living with the pressure of an unpredictable parent left Reynolds with lingering anxiety. He wrote in Time, "It was a somewhat impossible situation for any normally functioning nervous system." Reynolds' anxiety would remain a problem well into his adult years. Anxiety disorders constitute the most common mental illnesses in the United States, affecting 40 million adults each year, and Ryan Reynolds has counted himself among their number for a long time. The actor began speaking publicly about his struggles with anxiety in 2021. A few years later, Page Six asked how he was able to keep his anxiety in check. Reynolds admitted, "Sometimes I'm really good at it, sometimes I'm not." Case in point, the first Deadpool movie, which earned a rapturous response when an early trailer was presented at Comic-Con in 2015. Reynolds later told Variety, "By the time we were in post, we'd been to Comic-Con, and people went crazy for it. The expectations were eating me alive." Reynolds credited Blake Lively for helping him through that period, saying, "I'm lucky to have her around just to keep me sane."
She really does just show me how to be better in almost every way, as a father, as a person, everything.
Reynolds revealed some more of his regular challenges in a 2022 interview on CBS Sunday Morning, explaining, "I feel like I have 2 parts of my personality." He says that his anxious side can take over when he's feeling uncomfortable, but as the years have gone by, he's gotten better at managing it. He tells Page Six, "I certainly have my own little rituals and those kinds of things that help me stay grounded and keep my mind from spinning out of control." In 2015, Ryan Reynolds made news when he was struck by a paparazzo's car in a Vancouver parking garage. The actor escaped that incident largely unscathed, but many years earlier, he hadn't been so lucky. In an interview with CTV News, Reynolds recalled that as a teenager, he had suffered serious injuries after being struck by a drunk driver. While partying with friends in Vancouver, Reynolds realized that he was too inebriated to drive and decided to walk home. Sadly, another driver had made the same responsible choice as Reynolds. He ran into him, resulting in extensive broken bones and other injuries. Reynolds broke every bone in his left side and was left unconscious for 3 days. When he woke up, he found his father at his bedside and looking a little worse for wear. Reynolds remembered, "I guess I had been heaving in my unconscious, and nothing says love like painting someone with 3-day-old gin rummies. Just soaked the man head to toe in my vomit." Though Reynolds was able to joke about the accident in hindsight, the actual collision appears to have taken a far greater toll on him. He kept the CTV interview by noting, "Since then, I've been a rickety, broken mess." Ryan Reynolds' marriage to fellow actor Blake Lively has been a long and seemingly happy one. The couple met while filming Green Lantern in 2010, though they didn't get together until after a double date with different partners a short while later. And things moved pretty fast after that.
A week later, I was like, "We should buy a house together."
Nice. Wow.
I know, and we did.
Reynolds and Lively wed in 2012 and now have 4 children together. It's easy to forget that this is actually Reynolds' second marriage, however. Reynolds was married to Scarlett Johansson from 2008 until 2010, when they both filed for divorce. That marriage was the culmination of a high-speed courtship. Reynolds and Johansson had begun dating in 2008, shortly after he split from a long-term relationship with singer Alanis Morissette. He and Johansson were engaged and married that same year. The couple announced their separation in December 2010, and their divorce was finalized the following year. The sudden collapse of their relationship appeared to leave Reynolds rattled. In an interview with Details in 2011, he said that he didn't think he wanted to get married again. However, he married Lively a year later and apparently put those fears to bed. Ryan Reynolds has never been shy about his antipathy toward Green Lantern. After supporting roles in X-Men Origins, Wolverine, and Blade Trinity, Green Lantern marked the actor's first go-around as the star of a live-action superhero film. Unfortunately, the movie was a notorious box office bomb, loathed by critics and fans alike. Nowadays, Reynolds constantly pokes fun at the 2011 flop, including in numerous interviews and a famous post-credits scene in Deadpool 2.
You're welcome, Canada.
In a conversation at the 2023 Just for Laughs festival, Reynolds laid the blame for the movie's failure at the feet of studio executives. He explained, There was just too many people spending too much money, and when there was a problem, rather than say, okay, let's stop spending on special effects and think about character, the thinking was never there to do that. Though Reynolds jokes about Green Lantern, he's also painfully aware of its legacy as a flop and has shouldered some of the responsibility for its failure. In a 2017 interview with Variety, he discussed how Green Lantern may have influenced Fox's reluctance to put Deadpool into production for nearly half a decade. He explained, "Part of the reason why Deadpool wasn't greenlit right away was certainly because of me. If you have Robert Downey Jr. playing it, I don't know how much greener a light you can get to make a movie." Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively had made a conscious effort to keep their children out of the glare of the paparazzi. They've been largely successful at achieving this goal for their 4 children, often sternly admonishing outlets for running pics of their kids without permission. However, Reynolds was once blindsided when he discovered that a close friend was selling pictures of one of his children. The actor relayed the story in a 2015 issue of GQ, in which he said that the friend in question was someone he'd known his whole life. This individual was apparently selling the pictures for financial gain. Reynolds said, "I kind of got in front of it, which is good, but it was a slightly dark period, a bad couple of weeks." Reynolds got in front of the problem by cutting the friend out of his life. He recalled, "There really isn't a conversation to have, it's just, oh well, now I'm never going to see you or talk to you again, unfortunately." But the fallout of the revelation and the subsequent loss of his friend hit Reynolds on an emotional level. He added, "It was like a death. It was like one of those devastating things to find out." According to the American Cancer Society, the chances of developing colorectal cancer during a person's lifetime is alarmingly high, 1 in 23 for men and 1 in 25 for women. It's the second most common cause of cancer-related death in the United States, which is why the U.S. Preventative Services Task Force recommends regular screening for the disease beginning at age 45. When Reynolds reached that age in 2022, he teamed with the Colorectal Cancer Alliance to form Lead From Behind, an organization devoted to raising awareness about screening for the disease. And being Ryan Reynolds, he took this effort one step further. In a YouTube video, Reynolds discussed a bet he had made with Rob McElhenney. If his Wrexham partner learned to speak Welsh, he would not only undergo his first colonoscopy, but also let a documentary crew film the experience.
So, can we see it now?
No.
Spoiler alert, Reynolds lost the bet and underwent the procedure, as did McElhenney in the spirit of fairness. And the decision proved to be potentially life-saving for Reynolds. Gastroenterologist and CBS News chief medical correspondent Dr. John LePuc, who conducted the procedure, found and removed what he described as an extremely subtle polyp in Reynolds' colon. Over time, these polyps can potentially turn cancerous and lead to serious health risks.
This was potentially life-saving for you. I'm not kidding. I'm not being overly dramatic.
The death of art director and production designer Ray Chan in April 2024 marked a considerable loss to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Chan, who died at the age of 56, had helped to define the aesthetic of numerous MCU titles, including Guardians of the Galaxy, Doctor Strange, and Avengers Endgame. One of his last Marvel projects was Deadpool and Wolverine, and when Chan died, Reynolds paid tribute to him on his social media page. He wrote on X, formerly Twitter, "As production designer, he was as important a creative force on Deadpool and Wolverine as the writers, director, and stars. He built entire worlds from scratch, and did so in the most collaborative and inclusive ways." Reynolds also made a point of noting that while his collaborators will no doubt miss Chan, he'll be missed the most by his family. Reynolds closed the tribute on a personal note by recalling a conversation they'd had 2 weeks prior to his death. He wrote, "One of the last things I said to him was that he makes magic and there's nobody on earth like him. So of all the final things you could say to someone you adore, that's a little scrap of consolation I'll hang on to forever."